Welcome to the New Discovery Christian Podcast, where you'll find Bible messaging and sermons that will encourage, uplift, and challenge you to a godlier life. Join our community and become inspired to continue living a God-directed life.
Welcome again to the New Discovery Podcast. I'm here, Kyle, as your host, and I got Javan, my co-host, and McKinley as my co-host. And we're coming to you with another boundaries topic today. Instead of the last week we had sexual boundaries part 2, we're going on dating boundaries now. So we're going into some new territory we're going to kind of try to jump into. We're going to kind of discuss what it is and kind of jump into some of whatever experience that we can bring to this for you guys, being teenagers or young adults. Well, if you're older than that too, I'm sure you can get some out of it as well. So it kind of applies across the board. So one of the things, one question that I have, I guess we'll go around the table, is what do you think when you first hear boundaries?
Line you shouldn't cross.
Line you shouldn't cross.
What about you, Kinley?
No. On the spot.
Hey, at least you started.
I guess
it can't be the same answer as mine either.
If that's the textbook definition for a boundary, I think I can use it.
Yeah.
A line you can't cross. A line you shouldn't cross.
Couldn't have said it myself because I was the first one to say it.
You said couldn't or would. Never mind.
I'm going to be the black sheep. I would say you're able to say no to something. So that's kind of what I hear. You're able to say no to something. I think it's good. I was trying to go a little different.
As the founder of it, yes, I like mine better.
The founder?
I might be a little biased.
It's in no textbooks anywhere on boundaries in the world.
You can get mine in the dictionary. I might be a little biased. I like mine
Webster's Almanac.
There's like one citation just has your name. McKinley. This is from her, by the way.
Kinley's boundaries.
Notice how he said I did it, not you.
So I got another one. Maybe that was a little warm up. Do boundaries evolve in your relationship compared to the beginning versus later in the relationship? What do you guys think about that?
Yes. I would say, like, at first you're awkward around each other. And then as you get to know each other and you get more comfortable, you start, like, clinging to each other. And, like, you'll hug more and be more comfortable, like, putting your arm on her. Stuff like that. What about you, Kinley? What do you got for us?
What about you?
Nestor was next. What are you talking about?
Hey, Nestor. I think boundaries should be established, like, probably from the get-go. Honestly, like, when you go into a relationship, I think I said that on, like, the previous episode, but that you should establish boundaries and what you're comfortable, what you're not comfortable with, before, you know, it gets serious if you're going into, like, a dating relationship. But at the same time, like, yeah, you do get more comfortable with that person the longer that you're with them, the more time you spend with them. So it's easier to, like, you know, establish boundaries once you really get to know that person, if that makes sense.
Get to know them. Yeah, I agree with you guys. When you're early on, like you were saying, it's kind of hard because I remember in some past relationships, I ended up bringing up things like the super important things early on. Like there was no negotiation. This is kind of who I am. I'm not going to wait later on to find out what happens because, like, this is who I am. So whether those are physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, and a relationship, because there's emotional boundaries too. So it's like, this is who I am, and you know, if this is going to happen, we're going to have a serious problem. I brought that up before, and usually I've been respected for at least bringing that up. It's like, okay, well, I at least know what I'm handling, and I think that's one thing that's good about that, and I've gotten in return as well, and when I've gotten in return, it's like, I know what I'm dealing with. It's like it kind of takes my anxiety down because it's like I know the person a little bit more, so it's like I know what I'm dealing with early on. So I've always liked the fact that you at least set some standards to begin with in a relationship versus nothing really happens and it's like, you know, it all goes on up here then. And it's just like, you don't know what they're thinking. Do they have boundaries? What are they? I have them. What are they? I haven't said what they are. It's almost like you're not starting off on a right, like, foot or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Versus you wait later on. But I agree that there has to be some later on because you two make the relationship. It's not like a one-man show or a one-girl show. It's two different people having their own relationship as well. And, you know, that's going to kind of evolve and change over time and this and that. I didn't like that, or I'm going to say no to that. So that, I don't know, that kind of makes sense to me. So.
Are we going to go around, like, saying what we wrote down before?
Sure. What do you guys think are some good, I guess I didn't bring this up. I guess I was more of assuming it, that there's physical boundaries, but there's also emotional boundaries. Are you guys with me on the emotional boundaries part? Like,
Yeah.
Like, jokes going too far, or that's what comes to mind.
well, I guess let's maybe talk about that for a minute. When I think of emotional boundaries, I'm thinking along the lines of, like, I'm a separate we have a relationship, but I'm still a separate individual as a person. And, like, someone can do and say certain things that crosses that to where it's like, no, I'm still a different person than you, and I don't think the same as you.
Like, you don't want to be wrapped around her finger.
Controlling type.
Yeah, some of that stuff enters into it. And I've got kind of, maybe I'll start off on this one. I've got at least an example for some people, because they're like, what's emotional boundaries? Like, physical, it's like, you know, if you're sitting there grabbing someone or somewhere in a certain place, like, that's pretty easy to understand that. Whereas in emotional, it's like, what is that exactly? And I remember in a past relationship, you know, you don't say any names on here, but one in the past that I've had, I remember I came to the place where I don't know how it got here, but I was full-time in my school, and I was also, like, working here as well. And I remember my schedule was just, like, packed to the brim. I mean, my school, you were just writing multiple papers every week. I mean, it was like normal to do like 3 15-page papers a week with a bunch of forums and stuff you'd write. So it'd end up, you know, be close to like 35 to 40 pages you'd write a week, which is just like, they're separate papers, citations. So, like, I'm super busy, and I had to get stuff done here too. But I don't know how it came here. It happened slowly. It came to the place where one of my past girlfriends expected that I would be on a 6 to 8 hour phone call with her every day.
Ooh.
And I didn't notice it at first. Yeah, it was like a slow fade.
I can't even do 10 minutes.
Well, I could talk pretty easily, you know what I mean? So, like, I have a temptation in that area where I could talk a long time.
I'm a FaceTimer, but I have to still be doing something while I'm just like, I can't just sit down and like.
See, that's the way it was. And it was getting to the point where, like, an hour or two, okay, out of my day, but, like, it would then go 3, and then 3.5, and then before I know it's, like, close to 5, and it's, like, 6, and then it was, like, 8. I was like, so I would do that for 8 hours, and then, like, it's at the end of the day, it's, like, getting dark out, and I haven't done any schoolwork, and I would be doing my schoolwork from, like, 10:30 to, like, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. the next day, and then sleep for, like, 4 hours. I looked horrible during that time period, and my schoolwork was going downhill. I got to the point where I told her, I was like, I can't do, you know, the 8-hour phone calls. I said, I can't do that.
It's not me, it's you.
Yeah, and see, she wasn't going to college or anything like that. So, like, for her, it was like, wow, you know, as much time as you can. But I was trying to explain to her, but my perspective, that's just not feasible.
So y'all talked for 8 hours?
Yeah, for a while.
Dude,
yeah,
we got to give you an award.
Dude, that was. But I came to a point where I told
really
her,
Trophy Olympics.
yeah, I was like, I can't do that anymore. And she fired back. It was like, it's 8 or nothing. And then we had a
I guess it's nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, and that was kind of the beginning of the
That's
end.
rude. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
that relationship.
Yeah, that girl is listening to this. She has feelings. Is she listening to this?
I don't know.
I
I don't know. I'm not saying any names,
I
but
was like, sorry.
I hope I hope she probably knows that was probably a boundary that was crossed. I hope since then, because it was such a big deal
It's
that
so
it was.
8 or nothing.
Yeah, it was one thing that led to the end of the relationship. I'll say that. So I think that's a good example of an emotional boundary.
That kind of, you telling that story reminded me of something from a past relationship myself. Like, whenever I would get quiet or run out of things to say, she would think I'm, like, mad or something. Like, I'm not mad. It's just I don't have much more to say. Or much
If
more
you've
to
been
say
on
on
the
the topic.
phone for hours already.
Yeah.
You've kind of gotten it all out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I think you should be comfortable enough to just sit in silence with somebody and just like chill and not like always have to talk, like in a relationship. You should be comfortable. Like it shouldn't feel uncomfortable if you're not talking, like being around the person.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I feel like there's like a trust issue if they feel uncomfortable with that.
I think that boils. I think that enters into this too because you're making one relationship with each other, and you're trying to make it work. No one ever said it's going to work. Like someone told me, there's only going to be one person you're going to marry one day, and that's one person. There's going to be people before that person, and don't make something work that isn't going to work. You know, maybe that person, that's so who they are, they got to find someone to where they're always constantly kind of talking to them. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm kind of along with you. Like, I mean, maybe it's my introvertness. I don't know. Sometimes I'll have some silence or something like that, and it's just kind of cool. And just kind of go along, and maybe we're driving, I'll just enjoy the scenery or something, and something pops in my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, damn, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a good point when it comes to a specific relationship and hammering that out with someone. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think that a lot of the time, and I mean, maybe I'm off base here, maybe this is just me, but I feel like in today's like relationship and stuff, we rely so much on like FaceTiming and calls and texts. And so when you're spending like 8 hours a day with a person on a phone, like that's not really like, I don't know, I guess like quality time that you're spending with your significant other, like your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Like if you're running out of things to say, like that's because you're sitting on the phone in each other's rooms. You know, does that make sense? Like,
That makes sense.
You're running out of things to say because you're not really spending time with that person. Like, go on a date. You know, go outside, go somewhere else. But like, if that's like what your relationship consists of is spending time on your phones together, then I mean, yeah.
Especially at the beginning of the relationship.
Help me out here.
If you're talking too much to her and like revealing too much, you're losing the mystery, and then it's just weird.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like when you meet new people, not just girls, but just anybody, and they start just like spilling their life story. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
see what you mean.
Yeah, you kind of want to at first talk to a girl and then just be kind of like slow and steady, not like, hey, how are you? Good morning, beautiful. How are you? And then just like texting her every hour, snapping her, like whenever she snaps you, because it kind of it makes you look like you have no life. It just does. Like 8 hours a day on FaceTime. Like, what are you doing while you're FaceTiming?
Right.
It just it makes you look like a loser if you're a guy.
I think that's what you were trying to say is like you're still your own individual person. You don't need to.
You got stuff to do.
You don't need to lose that just within the month that you get into a relationship. You know, like there was something that my pastor said a long time ago, and it was saying like a lot of the times when we date, you know, we often act like we're married instead of like we're just dating. And that really spoke some truth to some people in the room and stuff. That. Like, you know, you don't need to communicate with this one person where you're going every hour of the day, every person that you're with, what you're wearing, what you're doing, what you're saying, this kind of thing. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I think there's a boundary.
It's a
That's
boundary
exactly
that you're
what that
crossing of not just like your, I don't know, like not just dating, but like that's your own individuality that you're kind of like handing over to somebody else almost. Like,
right.
You know, and especially so soon, that's something that gets mixed up so often, I feel like.
Yeah, I like that. I actually remember one time where the issue with the 8-hour phone call too was what I noticed is even when we're talking, even beforehand, you know, we're talking about a lot of different stuff that's been going on and stories and stuff. It's like when you bring stories into different relationships, whether it's dating or friendship or whatever, like that adds like some richness to the relationship. And people love stories. And I remember I told her, I came to a point where because of those long phone calls, it was like I couldn't bring any of that into the relationship. It didn't like... I couldn't enrich the relationship because it's like we knew literally everything that happened, and that was boring. And I didn't like that. I don't want to settle.
It wasn't over a period of time. It was within like an 8-hour period every single day, right?
Right. And then the end of the day, I'm doing score into the next day, which, first of all, is done, and I was not willing to happen any longer because I was like, okay, here comes the boundary time. That's not going to happen long term, or it's not going to work. It's just essentially that's what was going to happen.
And they get so mad if you don't listen to them and remember the things that they tell you.
What do you mean?
I probably just dug myself a hole.
Like, elaborate.
For 8 hours, you don't remember every key detail of what they told you the next day when they bring it back up. You're in trouble, dog.
Well, it did suck because I wasn't getting a lot of sleep either. So without a lot of sleep, you don't remember a lot of things very easily. So
I'm trying to stay
there's a
awake,
lot of bad stuff going on.
Okay.
How's your grandpa? I told you he died yesterday.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, listening's a good thing. I mean, listening's a good thing to have, a good quality. But again, it was just like that length. It was just that was just crazy right there to have. Again, it couldn't enrich the relationship too. So, but what I like what Kinley was saying about the social media and the text and everything like that. I'm a very in-person guy, and people that know me, I love to be in person with people. If I use text, it's just like, if I didn't use this wouldn't get to that person without the text. That's the way I kind of think about it. If this can be done in person, let's err on the side of doing it in person because, like, it's like more like an experience rather than it being like on text. You can't give away a lot of your emotions, your body language. You can't look into people's eyes, and it's just like it seems more cold.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like, I'm not a good texter. That's why I said, like, FaceTime. Like, I can FaceTime for a couple minutes, but that's because, like, I'm an emotional person. Like, I'm an in-person person. And I'm the world's worst responder. Like, I can't text back. I can't respond in I don't know, the usual, like, standard time. I can't. And so when you base, like, your relationship off of that, I mean, regardless of how busy you are and everything, like, you still have to have your priorities. If you're in school, that's still your priority. If you're working, that's still your priority. Your family, your friends, your relationship with God, those are all priorities that you still have to maintain. And if you can handle being in a relationship on top of that, then that's amazing for you. But at the same time, you should, like, I don't think people should just throw away their season of singleness just because they feel like running into a relationship or just because that person's there, you know, especially if that's all that you can provide for that person is, you know, 8-hour FaceTimes.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
I've been in that situation before, you know, and that's not a healthy relationship to grow.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think it's healthy for the long term. I've seen people, they start dating someone, and I have a friend that's in mind, and he's a good friend all the way from high school. And as soon as he started dating, I didn't see that guy for years.
Oh, I can't stand that.
Yeah, he just.
I love my friends.
It was so crazy to where one day he just asked, "Do you want to come to my wedding?" I'm like, I haven't heard from you. Now I went to the wedding anyways, just because I was still going to give that to him. And then as soon as he got married, I didn't hear from him after then. So it was kind of, I still hated that. I love the guy, but he went like full on. Well, one way to put it, yeah. He just cut out his other relationships, and just like you were saying, Kinley, that was kind of how many relationships, how much good stuff and other relationships going on when I had 8-hour video calls for a while, and that I noticed too. It was like I was becoming a different person because the important people were no longer being like a part of my life in a significant way, which bleeds out into other relationships. And I noticed like I was becoming less of who I was. And that's not a compromise I'm willing to have. And eventually I kind of told her that. I'm not willing to compromise that.
I never think that you should feel like you're compromising your freedom or your your individuality just because you're in a relationship. You know, and I think that's often how a lot of girls and guys end up feeling, just because you end up spending so much time with one person. And it's like, do I have my own life anymore? Or is my life just combined with your life? You know, like.
Yeah, you shouldn't merge into the other person.
You can never be in a relationship and end up being somebody's everything. You know, they still have it's you know, it's a good quality. Like if I'm looking at a guy and I'm like, oh, you know, he's ambitious, he has his life ahead of him, he has priorities, and not chasing me isn't one of those priorities. that's a good quality to have. Like, you have your own life and you're setting your goals and your plans. But if you're just, like you said, like the constant, like, texts and calls and FaceTimes.
She's my world.
I mean, I've just never been that type of person, and that's the basis of a lot of relationships that, you know, I've maintained or been in, and it's just not a healthy way to, like...
When you boil it down, it's, I mean, as Christians here, it's idolatry. I mean, if we really want to nail it down, for other people who are Christians here, that's what you're doing. You're making an idol out of another person that they're going to give you everything that you want in relationships, when it's really, you're making them do something that only God can do through the different ways that he can do that, through his people, through his word, and through his spirit. You're putting a burden on a person. That's what I kind of felt like. Yeah,
you know, to someone who's just a person.
Right.
In a sense.
And they're supposed to be God, and the other person can be like, well, I'm not, and I feel that pressure of being God to you. You know, you don't say it clearly like that, but it's like, I'm not God. I can't do all that and have a good, fulfilling life. And
girls are more fun when they're hard to get. Like, they're not any fun when they just, like, want 100% of you all the time. Like, they're no fun anymore. I just dug another hole for myself.
What do you mean?
Like, you gotta have a pursuit. You gotta make it fun. Like, you gotta have you can't just be around each other all the time and just be so up each other's, like, butt.
No, I actually see what you mean.
Sorry for lack of a better word, but
yeah, I think that's the whole point of spending time with other people. Is when you're spending time with other people, you have a life. When you're just giving 100% to other people, you know, you're not really having a life.
Yeah.
And it takes away the mystery. It takes away the excitement. It takes away the fun.
Yeah.
And why do you want to be in a relationship where there's, like, no fun? There's no excitement. There's no amusement.
There's just a ball and chain. You're
a ball and chain.
You're just a
dragging
around. Slave.
Yeah, 8-hour video calls. Ooh,
we're making relationships sound really great. I'm sorry.
Get you a girl that you have to chase.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's the point right there.
And I mean, we talked about that in the last episode, is that, you know, people have layers. You know, you're never going to find out everything about a person. But that's a good thing, is that, you know, you're going to keep learning more and more about the person that you're with the longer that you're with them, because they're going to change and you're going to change. And if you don't, like, give all of that away within the first, like, 3 weeks that you're together, then your relationship is going to be so much more fulfilling. It's going to be so much more interesting.
Right.
And, you know, kind of part of that chase thing, like, you're still getting, like, enjoyment out of that relationship and happiness.
Yeah, it's like Shrek with the onion. I remember us talking about that. Just slowly
every time I say layers.
That's where I got it from. Donkey with Shrek with that layer. I don't know how I got it. Someone brought it up once. I was like, that's deep. I was like, that's from Shrek. I was like, dang, I'm gonna remember that.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Oh my gosh. I've been going through the Shreks recently. I couldn't help myself. Actually, after we had this discussion, I started going through the Shreks again. I couldn't help myself.
They're just so like onions.
Yeah, just like onions. Yeah, but that's so true though. Yeah. Is peeling people back and making it interesting. I remember what you said last time.
I just thought of a serial killer. I'm sorry when you said that.
Wait, what?
I just thought of you as a serial killer while you said peeling people back.
I guess it does sound bad. You know, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Does he peel people's skin in that?
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones, they did that. Like, they would... It's called filleting.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's called. They'll take off their skin while you're alive.
Yeah,
and then they'll, like, stretch it out, and your children will see. But we can do a podcast on that next.
You literally took the boundaries right off. See what he did there?
Sitting here like straight, and I was like...
And that's just one of those moments where we're going to do a little editing magic.
He's like, no.
Looney bin.
Looney's editing. Straight serial murder.
Oh, yeah, it's called flaying.
Oh, my gosh. Did you
I studied it.
Did you have any boundaries, questions that you had?
Yes. Okay, so mine, I thought we were talking about just dating in general. So, like, mine aren't really boundaries, but they're kind of. It's in the same ballpark. So, I think I'll start with this one, yeah. The first one is, do you think it's a better approach to be friends first, then date, or just be outright and confess your feelings?
Friends first.
Friends first? I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I've said that before. I've said that probably in the last 2 episodes. Like, it's so much easier because there's not that pressure of, like, you're talking to that person and you're dating that person. You're in a relationship with them. And it's so much easier to be like, oh, that person's, like, my best friend. You know, like, you're still, I mean...
You can get in the friend zone. That's the only bad thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think it can happen both ways, but I can only speak the experience of it becoming friends and then
You just
dating.
can't hang
So
out
that's
with their
my only
girlfriends.
experience.
Like, if they invite you to hang out with their girlfriends and y'all go somewhere, it's over for you, dog. It's done. You're done.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Poor guy that
Yeah.
I'm with.
Friend zone for life. Have you ever done that to somebody, Kinley? Not to put you on the spot.
Was kind of What about you, Javan? We'll start first.
Yep. All my guy friends got one girl. And never mind. Just
No
dug
offense
myself
to,
in
like,
another
my
hole.
best guy friends that are watching this. Thank you.
Sorry, guy friends. You'll get out of there soon, maybe.
No.
I think I intentionally had girlfriends who didn't want
I'm gonna
me to
see
meet their
myself
friends. Did you ever have that? Like, they didn't want you to meet their friends? You ever have that? I think that's more of my experience.
Girlfriends that didn't want
But-
you to meet their friends?
Well, that's
Yeah.
because they think your
What?
friends are gonna hop on you. Like, I
Oh.
think if they
You
don't
think
want
that's
you
the
to. I
mentality?
mean, I've never had that happen, but that's what I would think of it. I mean,
Okay.
do y'all do that? Like, not let a guy
I don't
meet
know.
your friends
I don't
because.
know. I have no problem with that.
Or actually, no.
I think
Their
you're
friends
gonna
might
let-
be hotter, and they might go for your friend instead of her, the girl.
Okay,
That.
let me say something about that. I've never heard that. And
You never heard that before?
No. And I've never thought about that. Like, you saying that, I was like, what? But I think, honestly, if that's an issue for a girl that you're with, if you're
There's
dating,
trust issues.
trust issues, and, you know, she may not be secure in who she is. And I think that's a really sad thing because, I mean, yeah, personally, every girl has struggled with that. I know I have, and especially, like, the high school, middle school, college age area, it's really easy. Like, it's an easy trap to fall into. But, you know, if your girlfriend has that perception and everything, then, I mean, there's a deeper issue there than just, like, hanging out with her friends with her, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there's like an insecurity if she thinks that you're going to fall in love with her friends and then she doesn't trust you. It could be the other way around. She doesn't trust you because she knows that you might be unfaithful and might, like, be a dog with her friends.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more than one issue.
Because it wasn't
there.
the family. The family you definitely wanted to meet, but
I think
that was nothing I never necessarily exactly, like, brought up, but it was something, like, in the back of my head. Does that make sense? I never really initially brought it up, but I kind of always thought about that for, like, the future if that ever came up again, because I was just kind of like, wanted to meet him. You know what I mean?
I think if I'm with a guy, like, I'm gonna want you to be around my friends and my family because that's how you're gonna get to know me better. You know, like, my friends and my family are the utmost priority to me. And so, like, if you're around them, then you're getting to know me better through them because you're seeing me interact with them. You're having those stories like that you were talking about, you know, those personal stories, and you're building relationships with the people that are closest to me. And so, in a way, like, you're not just in that, like, isolated one-on-one ball and chain relationship with me, but you're getting to know people personally that are close to me and vice versa.
It is fun, though, when a girl is jealous. Like, it makes you feel good.
Kyle, you're out.
Kyle knows what I'm talking about.
Actually,
Really?
Like, when a girl gets jealous, that's kind of hot.
okay.
Like, it's kind of hot.
I think
like,
everyone,
like, is it not?
it's a temptation. I think for everyone. I think everyone.
I mean,
you're kind of
I don't know
I mean, she cares about you.
I think
Like,
it's more of
she
an
cares.
ego boost for guys. You know, you're like, oh
Boost.
yeah, she really likes me. Like,
Boost.
she don't want to see me with anybody else.
I swear girls talk to you more when you're in a relationship. I swear it.
I don't talk to guys in relationships. I'm in a relationship.
I kind of get the perspective.
So you talk to guys that aren't in a relationship?
I don't talk to, I mean, I have guy friends. I talk to guys that are my friends. I'll talk to anybody, but, I mean, obviously not in that type of way, like in a romantic way. No, not at all. But, no, I don't, I don't think jealousy's cute. I don't think jealousy's even remotely attractive.
I disagree.
I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to bring this up kind of to throw onto the table.
Oh,
to
shoot.
kind of talk about a little bit because I
Lay
feel
it
like
down.
this
Me and
this
Devin are
happens.
gonna go like head to head in this.
This happens. I'm the moderator. Break.
It's hot.
It's not.
I think there's like different layers of like why you're jealous. I think there's like pre-relationship,
Like girls are like
in
onions.
relationship, and then like straight
trust
marriage.
issues.
Yeah.
I think the first one let's throw out is this is my opinion on it. I'll throw it out to you guys. Is dating someone intentionally, because I think this is like a pre-boundary. Dating someone intentionally to make someone else jealous to get
No.
in a relationship with them.
It's a
you heard of
strategy.
that?
I mean, I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
That's a thing.
Dude,
That's a thing.
I'm being truthful on here, so
That
Have
part.
you ever dated somebody with the intention of just making another person that you wanted to be with jealous?
I've talked to girls to do that. Like, okay,
Does that
okay,
make sense?
hold up.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Like, it makes you look a little, like, it.
Let
You
me
kind
hear
of, you look like a loser if you're not talking to girls. Like, if you're single.
Okay.
And
I'm
like,
with you.
and the girl, if you're talking to a lot of girls and a lot of girls are talking to you back, it will make you look like you have a little value. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, I don't
Do
disagree.
you not agree with that? Like,
No.
would you?
I
So,
agree that
if
you should have good relationships with girls, and then they can see that as a value. I don't think there's anything wrong. But what I'm talking about is you literally get into a relationship.
Are
You guys,
you
Okay,
saying-
I've
boyfriend,
never been in a
girlfriend.
relationship and done that.
Are you,
I've been
are
single.
you saying
Okay.
that like it's more that it would be more enticing to girls if they think that like you're wanted by a bunch of
Yeah,
girls?
yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, me personally, I don't see that. I've seen guys, I've known guys, I've been in a relationship with guys who thought that was very much like that was top validation right there. It was like if you're talking to a bunch of girls and all these girls want you, that's a major turnoff for me. I'm like, oh, okay, go talk to them. It's not me.
Yeah.
You're coming off kind of sexist, but it's okay.
Not a little
I'm just
bit.
gonna
I mean-
dial you down. Okay, what were you saying, Kyle?
I'm trying to get like I'm trying to think about this. I don't think it should be a top priority. But do you think I don't think it's wrong though. Does that make sense? I don't think it's wrong. I guess I need to layer it a little bit. If you're dating someone intentionally to get someone else, I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
But
completely
he's
wrong.
never done that. He
Because
said
that,
that
yeah,
he's
like I've
never
been
in a relationship
single,
and done that.
Yeah.
and then so it's okay. It's not wrong if you're single,
I mean, if that's your strategy
and if you're
it's
talking to
working
a lot
for
of
you,
girls, it's kind of like advertisement. Like you want to get your ads out to everybody. You don't want to just like.
you know, that girl has like that, like if that's enticing to her and that's the strategy that's working for you, like by all means, dude, you know, do what works for you to get that girl's attention, to make her, like you said, you know, it's like an enjoyment thing to chase a girl, like, you know, vice versa. I'm sure it works the same way. Me personally, I've been in relationships where they wanted to make me jealous and they wanted to make me like, you know, and they didn't really care about if it was like if I was insecure because they thought like, oh, well, she wants me, like I have her because she's jealous when I'm talking to other girls, you know, and at that point you're breaking down another person to like kind of build yourself up and make yourself more secure, and that's what I think is wrong. Now if you're just you know, if you're having fun and you're single and you know, like you were talking about now, I don't think that's wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
we're
Forgiven.
we're on the same level.
I'm sorry.
We're on the same
Okay.
level.
But you don't want to simp. You don't want to simp. Like,
What's your definition of simping?
okay, simping is when you're just being nice to a girl just to, like, date her.
Yeah.
That's simping.
I definitely think that's wrong. I would not be nice to a guy just for the like, and if he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not interested," like I wouldn't just be a complete jerk to him. That's not right. But I thought simping. I don't know. I guess simping. I'm sure
There's a
people
lot
say
of
that, what?
It got misconstrued as of recently. Definitely. Like, have you been seeing the simp memes?
I know
they're
it.
pretty funny.
Yeah, it's essentially like guys bowing down to
Yeah,
girls. They'll
like-
buy them
I
stuff
think
all the
it's
time,
like
always doing
compromising
compliments.
your integrity,
Yeah.
and like your morals and stuff for a
Compromising.
girl.
Yeah.
Like if you're changing your character and like who you are around other people just for that girl, like yeah, you're simping. That's not cool.
It's like manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, and manipulation's always wrong.
You're just being her little servant, just like doing stuff that
Which you should never like be perceived that way in a relationship. Like, I don't know. I think a relationship should be 50-50.
Well, that's why the nice guys never win. You always hear nice guys like they're like nice guys always finish last. It's because you're being nice. Like you're just being too nice.
I think the part
Girls
of
go after jerks.
Girls like jerks.
I think what it comes down to is guys.
I'm not
I
saying
think when you and this has to do with boundaries. I think is when guys say no, you're saying no because you have beliefs and values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And isn't that, would you say that's attractive when you see a guy who's willing to say no or I disagree?
Individuality.
You're not compromising who you are just because that's what that girl wants or that's what all your buddies think is right. No, it's super attractive that you're standing firm in who you are.
Now, a jerk always disagrees with everyone because he's a jerk, and I guess it can come across as maybe...
Why they hot?
Well, yeah. But deep down, he just probably has a lot of insecurities.
When a girl is a jerk, that's kind of hot, too.
I've had guys tell me that where if like
it's hot.
I've been like pursued and I was like, I'm sorry, like I don't think of you like that. You know, that kind of deal. And then it was like persistence, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, quit. And it's like
that's fun. That's fun.
That wasn't even like I'll back off. It was like,
well, it's like a kid. You'll say, don't hit me. And they'll be like, and they'll run off. Like they want you to chase them.
Oh, and then, I see what you mean.
And then and then you'll say quit, and they'll go, and then hit you again, and then run off.
Okay,
that's kind of how it is.
It's like some playful teasing.
It's like fun. It's kind of like your
inner
child. Like the girl's like, stop it. Okay, I need to stop, but
I know where you're going with
But you know what I'm saying.
I thought you meant like straight up just like being a douchebag to you all the time. I was like, that is not attractive to me.
I mean,
but if it's like teasing and it's playful.
If she teases you, that's kind of hot. If she like says low key mean things to you, but like you know that like she's kidding around, that's hot.
I mean, you just can't be too sensitive in a relationship. Like you have to be able to like, you know, go back and forth and play around with each other and like joke around, because if you can't take a joke and like you're gonna take everything to heart and cry about it, then I mean,
and just compliments. I don't like when like girls say compliments to me because I don't know how to handle them. I don't know if that's just a personal problem, but I always like resort to sarcasm or
give me a personal story. Like what's something a girl said to you and you were like,
Yeah, I'm trying to think what you mean. Like I've gotten compliments and I'm like. And I try to take my compliments and I try not to like be like, oh yeah, look at me. You know what I mean? But I mean sometimes.
Okay, I think I remember a time in 9th grade when a girl I didn't know said nice shoes to me, and I was like,
why?
I was like, what?
What are you trying to get here?
What do you want from me, woman?
Why do you like my shoes?
She wanted you.
You're not having my shoes; they're mine.
I've been complimented by people, like a guy or whatever, like, oh, hey, you're really pretty, or oh, like, you know, you're really fun. Have you ever had a girl say, I know, thanks, I know, or something back?
I've seen
That's true.
Happen.
You don't know what to say. Yeah. Like, you can say thank you.
I've had some, I don't even remember who it was. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I was like, thanks. And they were like, I guess they had never heard, like, thanks before. It was like, oh, no, I'm not, or no. And I'm like, okay, you're fishing, one.
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to get more compliments. And then two, just take the compliment. Thanks.
I don't like when people return compliments either. That's annoying. Like they'll say,
like you too.
Like, yeah, you too is the laziest.
You're cute. You too.
The laziest of like.
Yeah.
If you're gonna compliment Mac, you might as well pick out something. Like you too is just like it's like nice shoes. Huh? You too.
I like your shoes too. You didn't notice my shoes.
Yeah, you just gotta take.
I'm not wearing shoes. Joke's on you.
Yeah, you just gotta take a compliment. I feel like
you gotta
take face value.
You gotta take it, and then. See, if you compliment the other person, it looks like you're just doing it to be polite. You don't really mean it. You're just looking for something. And it's just like,
Oh, yeah,
nice
that there, too.
He's scanning you.
Yeah. Nice mustard stain on your shirt. You know, it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
I love the way your face distorts when you smile.
You're like, oh, thanks.
I'm
So, do we agree that jealousy before dating
Good
people,
segue.
Yeah, a little
Good
segue.
segue.
Yeah, I didn't do anything on that one. Is that's wrong? Do we kind of agree on that? That trying to date someone, only dating them to get someone else, is probably not a.
I don't think it's ideal. No.
You don't think it's ideal?
I don't think it's a good mindset to have to get into a relationship.
I've had some experiences where some people have done that in the past, and I didn't. I think I heard someone else. So
It's definitely it's more of a guy thing.
Well,
Yeah.
someone said it was immature to do that because you're doing that when you could have other ways to do it to attract that person, and it's not a good way to start the relationship off by being jealous of some other relationship.
Yeah.
You're not taking a good, strong, mature step. It's like, oh,
You're using somebody as a disposable too, so that's messed up.
I
yeah,
think
you're supposed to love people
I
as
think
yourself.
it's slightly immature, and I think that you have to have a certain standard and just like be, secure in who you are and what you want, and not use like other people to your advantage to get that other person.
It's kind of manipulative.
It's like
you
just-
nail it down.
I mean, well, you can't go to the other person and just confess your feelings. That's weird because.
You think it's weird?
Well-
I think that's attractive.
Well,
But
use humor.
Would you like it if a guy that you barely know came up to you and said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you that I saw you from afar and I just really
saw you.
I mean, if you said it in that
I
voice.
really like you. Do I have food in my braces? Look, do I have food in my braces?"
Okay,
I wish you
that's
had
never
braces.
happened. That has happened. I was like,
Did you date them?
no.
Oh,
She confirmed it.
oh.
No,
My
but I'm
theory
saying,
turned
well,
into a hypothesis. Yeah.
but you said the friends first thing, and I think if you know that person, and then they straight up, they were confident enough to just say, "Hey, I have these feelings for you. I'd like, can I take you out sometime? I'd like to go out on a date with you," or like, "Hey, I have a feeling for you," or whatever. Like, that's attractive instead of kind of just beating around it and like playing games all the time, like.
And if a girl likes you, I don't know why guys think they're blind, but it is really, really evident if a girl likes you.
Yeah.
Really evident. If you're blind to it, you might as well just hop in a trash can and live there. It is so evident if a girl likes you.
You got more in your arsenal than using someone else. Use humor, allow them to see your character, your beliefs, your values, show that you'll be able to have fun. Like Kinley was saying, have a relationship already, have that. And
it's fun to argue. I mean, that's where good conversation
I'm an
comes in.
argumentative person. I love arguing. I mean, not in a health. I mean,
not
in
yelling, but
not
back
an
and forth.
unhealthy picking at every little thing and arguing. But it's good to have a little bit of conflict there. You don't want someone that's gonna agree with you and just say, "Oh yeah, me too," to everything.
Yeah, because that's
Right.
boring. That's
Yeah.
a conversation boring text replies.
And
That's what I thought of.
You don't want to have those conversations that literally this is how they go. Good morning, beautiful. It's good morning, whatever. And then it's what are you doing? This. What are you doing? This. And that's the extent of your conversation. No. Let's argue. What do you think about this? Build on that relationship with some substance,
I remember one relationship I had is she hated sushi and I love sushi.
I
And
love sushi.
We argued about it. I was like, as soon as I found it was the first date, I was like, all right, we're gonna have a problem here now, right? She's like, what? We're gonna have a problem here? I was like, yeah. I was like, sushi's delicious. It's not disgusting.
And she's just no.
Yeah, she was like, it's disgusting. And I was like, you know what? This is a steak place, and I'm going to order the sushi on there. And I was like, I'm going to eat it in front of you. Because she said,
kiss me and smell my
but she's like, it's slimy, and I can't stand people eating. I was like, well, you're going to watch me eat a whole entire plate of it. And so, but that banter ended out as
She's weird. All girls I know love sushi.
I like sushi.
Yeah, she was the. I actually thought she was going to say she liked sushi when I said it, but I was like, I don't care. I love sushi. I was like, but it became a cool banter later on. It was always that she hated the sushi, I liked the sushi, and every time we went somewhere, I was like, I'm going to take you to a sushi place. She's like, you're not taking me to a sushi place. I was like, yes, I am, because I'm the one who's paying.
See, that's fun. It's it's like a chase type thing.
Yeah.
Arguing back and forth. See, if you said, "Oh, you don't like sushi?
I hate it too.
I won't get it. I won't get it, sweetie, because I love you so much." And then
Can't
she'd be
stand
like,
it.
Yeah.
Just because, at the same time, there was something that I heard a really long time ago saying that you have to be equally yoked with that person, if that makes sense. You
Yeah.
have to have the same common ground. you can't be like, I mean, people say opposites attract, but like you have to have some common ground with the person, right? You know, like to attract you towards them in the first place.
Your values, your character.
Exactly. But I mean, you don't want somebody that's going to be like, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, I agree. Oh yeah, that's great. Like, no, tell me what you think. You're still your own individual person in a relationship. You don't just merge with that person.
And that's boring if you just merge with that person.
It's boring, and that's not a healthy relationship. That's not long-term
that's not good long-term stuff. Now, what do you guys think about this, though? What about jealousy once you're in a relationship, and how does that work? Because I think there's some that can be healthy, but some that's unhealthy. Because God is jealous for us, and it's because he wants us to be ours. But at the same time, we know that jealousy can go overboard. What's that balance in there with the boundaries there? Because if you're not jealous at all, it's like, oh, you're gonna be out with Cindy tonight, and late at night at the park. Who cares? It's like, well, don't you love me?
Well, you gotta be a little, like, if you're a boyfriend, you gotta be a little jealous. Because if you're like, go hang out with all those frat guys this weekend. I don't care. I trust you. Well, first of all, like, why is she going to party with frat guys without you, dog? Like, why? And so you got to be like, you got to be a little jealous. Yeah, you got to show something because I feel like that's a test. Like, some girls will want what's the word? Validation. That's what I'm looking for. They'll want validation that you still like them, maybe sometimes. And if you show a little jealousy, in a good way, you gotta.
Yeah, I don't know the line.
You can't be mean jealous. You gotta be like, hey, I just don't feel comfortable with you hanging out with all these frat boys on the weekend while I'm not there. I really like you. That makes you sound like a simp.
See, I don't know the line, man. I'm honest. This is a question I threw out where I've been trying to figure it out.
Well, if you really love a girl, I mean, that would hurt you if she hung out and party with frat guys.
I think it feels like. What do you think, Kinley? I feel like it's like a certain circumstances sometimes.
What if you had a boyfriend that went to go party with sorority girls? How would you feel?
I mean, okay.
Partying with sorority girls.
Let me tell you a story. Okay, so a couple weekends ago, like, I'm with this guy, right? And so he goes to this party. He goes with his sister and her boyfriend. And crap, he's gonna watch this when this comes out. He's gonna be like, but and I mean, I've always seen like girlfriends and stuff that were like, oh no, he is not going to that party without me, or oh, like, that are tracking his location and looking at the snap score and
that's a little weird. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, and I've never been okay with doing that, and so to me, like, that's a major turnoff if that's the kind of girl you are, and you're saying like,
well, that's disrespectful too. Yeah,
I mean, you're just being really controlling and. Like you said, like a guy's not gonna think that's cute. If you're like tracking his every move and you're attached to his hip and stuff, I don't really think a guy's gonna think that's an attractive quality about you. I mean, yeah, you want to show that you care, but you also don't want to be like,
it's a
super like.
It's a delicate situation.
And so let me tell you what I did. I was like, okay, like he told me where he was going. He was like, hey, I'll text you when I get there or whatever. And I was like, you know what, don't worry about it. Like, have fun, be safe, text me when you get home. And that was it, like, he left the party, he called me, he was like, hey, I'm heading home, and I was like, okay, did you have fun, with your friends and stuff? He's like, yeah, I did. And I was like, okay, I trust you, and I've been in situations where, there was doubt placed in my head about like, oh, well, I'm going to such and such, I don't really know who's going to be there, there might be some girls there and stuff. That's not attractive because you're placing that doubt in my mind with the sole intention of trying to make me insecure about what you're going to do and make me like compromise the trust that I have in you and stuff. And so if I trust you and you're going to that place and you're like, okay, like, I'll talk to you later. Like, I'm like, okay, be careful, have fun, be safe. Like, that's it. I don't think it has to be an issue. I think that you just have to have that solid foundation of, does this person's character show that that's something they would do? Do they have a history of that? Is that kind of what their characteristics say? Is it like jealousy is a super cool thing? Like, would they?
I got two stories for you to evaluate, Kinley, that I've had in the past, and I've tried to figure it out.
I think there's an even line. If I was... I don't know.
Yeah.
Like one story
Does
that
that
I
make
got.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It's making me rethink. Like, do you want to even say anything? Like, would that just cause an argument down the road?
I mean, I think you should be honest. Like, if you're,
Yeah.
if you know, if I'm dating this guy and he's going to a party, like, hey, I'm going to this party. I'm going with my sister. I'm going with my best friend. You don't have to say, okay, this is when I'm coming home and this is who's all gonna be there and I'll text you the whole time I'm there. No, because at that point, like, that's a little over.
You can scare a girl away though if you're like, I really
Oh.
love you, and like I don't feel comfortable if you went like that. That could be bad. So you might not want to.
I've been there, and let me tell you, it drives girls away. You know, like even if like it was a completely innocent situation where I was going to like a birthday party or whatever, and you know, like I wasn't gonna be out super late, but the guy that I was dating wasn't invited to that party, and he pitched a fit. Let me tell you, you know, it was like, well, why are you going if I'm not going? Or like, how long are you gonna be there? What are you wearing to this party? That's the only relationships I've ever been in, and so that's what kind of, you know, like, it's not an attractive quality to, like, I don't know, you should trust your girlfriend, you should trust your boyfriend, but at the same time, trust is still earned, so is respect.
Right.
But at the same time, I think there's a fine line there that you...
Like, I once had a relationship where, in the past, apparently this is a feature I didn't know you could do on Instagram. It's taken away now, but where you could track what other people were liking and everything. Do you guys remember that? I didn't know that was a thing, and I had a past relationship where she was tracking everything I was doing, and one day she asked me, who is blah, blah, blah on Instagram? I didn't even know who she was talking about.
Dude, I like hundreds of girls' accounts.
That's what I'm saying.
You like their posts? And I was like, man, I do this little scrolly thing.
Dude, it's like routine.
Like, I literally had to her tell me and write down what it was, and I had to, like, plug it in, and I was like, oh, that girl. And she was like, is there something going on? I saw that you liked some certain photos, and there was a certain time that went around. You followed her in so-and-so.
Bro.
And I remember I was trying to, like, understand it. I was like, did I break, like, a boundary? Like, did I break a boundary? Did she? And I remember I was trying to figure it out.
Did I cheat on her? No.
I was like, I didn't even know who this girl was. And I came to a place where I was like, should I just not like girls' photos anymore? I was like, no, there's a problem there. I was like, that's not right, because I don't expect the same from her. I was like, because I said, are you liking guys' photos? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well... So we had a kind of a conflict there, and she thought like I was cheating on her or something. Like, I don't even know what her name is.
Streets.
Thankfully, we did resolve it, but like we didn't talk for like a week after that. Like she straight up like I tried to call her, she straight up hanged up on me, and we didn't talk for a week.
Dude, streets, Kyle.
So that's the perspective I was coming from.
Oh my.
So that one I knew I was in the right, but this one, Kinley, you have to tell me if I'm in the wrong though, because
I don't think you're in the wrong with that situation.
on that one, yeah,
I think
now if you're commenting on girls like,
oh yeah,
dang, finna make me rethink my life, like,
or if you're posting pictures that are suggestive with other girls that aren't your girlfriend. I mean, not like just like friends of yours that are girls, but like, you know, flirty looking, like coupley kind of poses. Then yeah, that's a little iffy. Like
some straight hugs and stuff like that going on.
You wouldn't want to see that, but at the same time, like your boyfriend or girlfriend is probably going to be following accounts that are of the opposite gender, and you have to be okay. You have to be secure enough to know, like, hey, my boyfriend's liking so and so's post.
Right.
No, it doesn't mean he's thinking about them at all hours of the night. Like,
right.
it was just
a like.
Check this action out, Kyle. Little glory days.
Oh, what do we have here?
Don't show Kinley though.
Oops. That's what you were thinking earlier when you were bringing up some girl stuff.
When you said posting up with girls.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even know that picture existed. That? No, I didn't post that.
There it is.
I didn't know it was
he
there
has a
until
girlfriend
like 2
at home.
years ago.
What do you think of this one though? This one I don't know. I've been told that by other girls I've been in the wrong on this one, so I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to understand it. So
I won't judge. It's okay.
Like usually, like when I'm around people, even like with waiters and stuff like that, I can get energetic and ask them questions like, "What are you up to? How stuff like that." And I was out on a date one time, and so my girlfriend was with me, and there was another waiter coming up, and she was a girl, and like I was just asking questions, here's what I'm eating. I was like, how's business today and stuff like that. And, how's
like
the
y'all
wine.
were just kind of going back and forth?
It was a banter back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would talk with her when she came, and here's what you got to order. Here's the water and stuff. And she would leave and go back. And I'm kind of a jokey guy, I guess. And so, like, some of the jokes were going on, too, and she was laughing at them. But I was still talking with my girlfriend at the same time, trying to include her in the conversation.
How was your girlfriend feeling about it? Was she, like, weird about it?
Well, see, I noticed that she started to be, like, really quiet, and she didn't want to talk when I was trying to include her in the conversation. But I was still talking to her when she left.
That's it.
Were you using funny jokes in your arsenal or corny jokes?
I was using funny jokes.
Like, actually funny?
Yeah.
Like, you're the only 10 I see.
Well, no,
Not really what you wouldn't say on the
not like that. I'm definitely in the red.
Do that little...
But see, like, I guess I'm just generally like that. But when she left, she said something, and I knew what she meant by saying it. She was like, "Oh, you had a really good time with that waiter." And as soon as she said that, I was like, "Oh, I think I know she's going with that." I was like, "Did that seem wrong, what I did?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And then, like, I asked her way later about it. She's like, "It felt like you liked her, and, like, I couldn't, like, you were treating, like, I should be treated special, and it didn't seem like that was happening. It seemed like you were giving her attention maybe that I should have gotten." I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I'm trying to understand.
Well, I would.
Like, how would you feel about that situation? Because I'm trying to understand it. Because maybe that wasn't right.
You're about to say something.
Go ahead and get that out of the way, because I was going to tell another story related to
You
that.
guys got a same story. What is your perspective?
Yeah,
Say if your boyfriend did the same thing. He was just getting good banter with the waiter, and she was laughing. She was getting into it. And if I'm honest, I did leave, and I was like, yeah, she probably liked me. So I kind of got that vibe, and I kind of backed off at the end because I was getting that vibe. So I was starting to back off, and that's why I asked her when she left, because like, oh gosh, I think I initiated something I didn't mean to do.
I mean, okay, one, I'm not judging you here, okay? Like, I didn't mean to attack Javan.
I'm inviting it because I want to know for the future.
Just personally, I guess from a girl's perspective, like you said, when a girl likes you, right? Most of the time, a girl can tell when you're kind of coming on to her a little bit. Like, unless they're completely oblivious, which, at times I've been there and I've been like, oh, what, really? But at the same time, girls can kind of sense that vibe. And so sometimes just being nice and joking and stuff can come off the wrong way. It can be perceived on a girl's end probably, especially if, she was kind of, giving you the same energy back, kind of, joking around, messing with you.
She gives you that hit.
Yeah.
Down the shoulder.
Oh, whoa, sexual boundaries.
That's a different podcast.
She was probably sensing it at that point, especially if you knew, kind of by the end of it.
Yeah.
Then, I can see how, as, the date in that situation, you kind of feel like there's a third person there.
Yeah.
If it was... Only probably if it was consistently, throughout the entire date. Now, if you got there and she brought you water, the waitress brought you water and she brought you some bread, you bantered back and forth for a couple seconds, no, I don't think that's wrong at all. That's just someone on this staff. You're just making commentary. I don't think that's rude or impolite. But I think if it's a consistent, all-night thing, and at that point it feels like you're not just on a date with one person but two, then it's kind of oh, okay, well,
Okay,
but you were still talking to her and stuff.
Yeah.
So at the same time,
But I did reflect on it. I was like, if a dude was doing that with her, I was kind of because I had to think. I tried to put myself in the other person's role. I was like, if a dude and she were I was like, I think that would stir that up in me, and I would be like, it would kind of interrupt the evening kind of thing with her. And I was like, I can see kind of what happened there, and I tried to cut it off, but I didn't know that going into it, just acting like that would bring her out like that.
Yeah.
And then it did, and then once it did, she was making jokes and stuff ha ha ha, I brought this for you guys too, but only talking to me, not talking to her. I was at that moment, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh, I could have been leading her on a bit unintentionally. Just to remember next time, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, I think as the date, I might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that's only if it was like you said, a consistent, very strong energy, vibe kind of thing, going back and forth. But at the same time, you guys were talking about the liking other girls' pictures and stuff, and I saw this thing, and it was actually on Instagram the other day, and it was like, what did it say? It was like, no girl or no girlfriend wants to hear this other girl saying like, oh, your boyfriend's liking my post, or oh, your boyfriend's talking to me like this. And I mean, yeah, like being, you know, the girlfriend in that said situation, it's not fun, you know. So just, I mean, I don't think that was like I don't think that was cheating. I don't think that was like super off the wall, like just an awful thing to do to your girlfriend. No, not at all. Like, especially if you didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah,
like,
there was an intention behind it.
I've been on dates where, like, you know, we got into it, we were arguing, so they were doing that intentionally, like with the intention of like kind of upsetting me,
stirring that up,
things
jealousy.
up and stuff. But no, but at the same time, you know, you never want to make your significant other feel like that. You know, there's a playful, like, kind of jealous thing, not like jealous, but like, you know, just excitement thing going on, but then there's okay, like, I feel, you know, almost stupid in this relationship because you're making me look like this to other people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That's kind of what I've asked some other girls on it too, and they've told me kind of something really similar to what you've said. And
yeah.
I've been just trying to figure it out.
I don't think the liking other posting qualifies as that.
Yeah, I've been told by other girls, it's like, she shouldn't have done that. Because on the other end, I was like, do you want me to do that to you? And she didn't accept it at first, but later on, she was like, yeah, I don't want. To be fair to her, she took the criticism, and she was like, yeah, I don't want you doing the same thing with me, just like zoning in and, you know, liking that. But Javan, you had a story. I don't want you to forget your story. So what you got?
I have 2 accounts. Okay, so whenever these 2 accounts would happen, like, they would happen a lot because I would go into GNC to buy supplements, and there would be a girl at the counter, and she would always do. Well, I might as well tell this story. This is pretty funny. That Javan, in his prime days of being 18 years old, straight out of high school. Well, I walked into GNC, and she was attractive.
Are you saying you're not in your prime anymore?
Oh,
you're
he's
20.
old.
Yeah, I've hit my peak. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here.
I think I'm out of my prime, but whatever.
Back when I was a stallion, I walked in, and she was like, when I checked out, she was like, does my hair look better like this? And she was like, had a messy bun.
Too?
But then she turned around and wasn't facing me, and she was like, does it look weird like this? And then she started like doing something kind of like, not fluctuating, but kind of, what's the word? She was wearing like gym clothes. Okay, if that paints you a picture in your head. Yeah. And it was really sensual, and I was just like, I just want my protein. And then, and so that happened, but instead of like, I would just tell my girlfriend at the time, like, what happened, like, every time. It was kind of like a running joke. So it kind of like broke the tension.
I know.
And that was like a way that I broke it. And then there was a girl at the gym that would always come up and talk to me when I was alone and not with my girlfriend. But when I worked out with my girlfriend, like, she wouldn't talk to me. It was weird, but it was like a running joke, and that's how we kind of like broke the tension. And it sometimes made my girlfriend mad, which was pretty funny to watch. But
I know exactly what you're talking about. That helps build the trust.
It builds trust when you share the story, and then it kind of like adds a little comedy to it if you ever see that person in public. Because like when a girl knows another girl likes her guy, like she'll be like, "Hey sister, how are you? How are you?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Kinley, yeah.
My past girlfriend, she did that a lot. She almost told me like every time someone flirted with her, and it like built that trust to where we made something funny out of it every time, because like she told me it was like really awkward or weird situation. It was like one dude stalked her and her friend once, and was like stuff like following them to the car, and he would like stand out in the middle of the parking lot, and there's like nothing around. He'd just be standing there looking at them. They're like, can we help you? And he's like, no, I'm just waiting here. It's like, and then he would follow them all the way through the school. And then one day he needed a ride and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, I need a ride this day. But we made a running joke out of it that he kept on doing that.
Yeah, so it made it like it relieves kind of like the awkward tension, if there was any.
Well, it kind of just reaffirmed the relationship.
Yeah.
She's willing to tell me those things instead of, you know, I mean, I guess she doesn't have to, but the willingness to do it, it's like, there's no need to stalk anyone or anything like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I would do the same thing. I would bring them up because they're kind of just funny stories.
Right.
So why not just bring up any funny story? It's like, don't hold any of them back, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But,
I get that.
yeah. Is there anything else that you guys had? I know
That we only got through one of my thing out of 7, so
We've been here 2 hours.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I'm pretty sure
we can
we'll wrap this up right here. We can part
we
2
can
or
get back
something.
to it.
So, all right, everyone, thank you for joining in with us today on boundaries and dating with all 3 of us, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. Maybe you did.
I promise something.
Maybe
like
some
that.
laughs. Maybe you're
Probably
scared
not.
from something he said. So, but in the end, I hope we were at least a little entertaining, to say the least. But join in with us next time, and maybe we'll be on boundaries on dating part 2. I don't know. We'll find out. See ya.